What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we are going to get some of my ending thoughts on what it's been like having the all-new 2023 Nissan Z here at the house. So I've had this car for almost a week now. We're unfortunately winding down our test with this car, but basically we're going to talk about, is it still a car I plan on buying? If you're new to the channel, so I've owned the R35 now for 4.5 years. That is my baby. That thing is such a beast. And then for 2 years I owned the A90 Toyota Supra, and I recently sold it at the end of last year in order to buy this new Nissan Z. Of course, I'm going to spec mine with a manual transmission, and it has been a really cool car. But let's take it for another spin and talk about, am I still buying the new Z? Alright, so driving in the Z now. To answer the question in a very short time frame, for those of you who don't want to watch the whole video, yes, I'm still buying the Z. Of course, I'm going to get the manual. I'm not a fan of torque converters in general, so the stick shift was and always was the only decision I was going to make with this car. So why am I still going to buy the Z? Because it's a fun car. I'm the type of person that I don't really care about like what car's better, what car's worse, all that kind of thing, because every car to me I think serves a little bit different purpose. And my Supra, yeah, it was the top of the line car, the premium, so it was nearly 60 grand. It was 58,000 out the door. Currently, you know, those cars are maybe slightly more expensive now with all the things, but regardless, that's a nearly $60,000 sports car. This car is going to be coming in less than that, a lot less. In fact, it's going to be the low 50s. So it's going to be a cheaper car price point, and yes, it is kind of a little bit of a downgrade in performance, and I don't mean that in a negative way, mainly because it is a cheaper car. So I'm not really too bothered by that since it is a cheaper car. And in my opinion, I think the Nismo edition, when that comes out, that's going to be the one that has all of the performance that we want out of this car. This is a great base, you know, it's a great platform. It really does have a lot to offer. And for the price, when you look at all the features you get and the performance, comparing it with the Supra, of course, you know, it's a pretty good blend. The Nismo, though, of course, I mean, that's going to have probably some major upgrades and probably still be less than 60 grand and give the Supra a run. And I bet it'll actually be a better car. So I'm excited to test out this offering from Nissan. You know, I've been a Z owner 6 years ago, roughly. The first car I bought out of college was a 2012 370Z. Manual transmission, had the tech package, had the sport package, and that was a really, really cool car. However, 6 months later, when I sat in a 2016 Nismo Tech manual, and the nav screen, of course, I just fell in love with it. As soon as I sat in it, I instantly knew it was a major step up. And then as soon as I drove the Nismo, oh my gosh, obviously it sold me on it, and I bought the car and never looked back. So to me, I'm gonna basically buy this car and then sell it when the Nismo comes out. I want to get this car because it is going to be a fun manual sports car, and it is a much cheaper price point than the manual version of the Supra. We don't really know time frame or pricing on that car because it could be over 60, I don't really know. But nonetheless, this is going to be a little bit more affordable option, and since I like the platform, I want to get into it as soon as possible. I'm really also impressed with, I think one of the biggest things about this is I like the space and the interior, especially the look of the interior. I think it's amazing, but I really like how usable it's been. So when I had the Supra, I was in a little bit different lifestyle. I was more of the single life. At the time, Lauren lived 10 hours away from me, so needless to say, I was driving in my car alone most of the time. Every other month, I'd go pick her up from the airport, of course, but you know, I was in the car alone, so storage space wasn't really too important to me. 2 weeks after I sold the Supra, she moved down, and now I have somebody with me in the car a lot of the time. And when we've been in this car during the week, the fact that you get the extra storage in back, you know, the cup holder situation, the glove box situation right in the center, it's just been so much more usable than the Supra is just because it has that space. So I like what the Z is offering for this stage of life. I feel like, you know, the Supra, when I had that, I just didn't need the space. I could care less about any sort of storage areas. However, now things are changed a little bit. I like what this has with that extra space. It's just more usable. And on top of that, when we look at then performance, because I like performance. I mean, I have an R35 GTR with 700 horsepower. Needless to say, I like fast cars. So nothing ever is going to compete with that car. That's the type of car that just kind of stands on its own. It stands on a pedestal, and pretty much no car is like a GTR. So when people ask, you know, how did the Supra compare to the GTR? How does the new Z compare to the GTR? There isn't even remotely a comparison. The Z is way below the GTR. The Supra is way below the GTR. However, it's still a fun car, of course, But I'm going into this knowing it's not even remotely close to a GTR. It's not even a baby GTR the way this is stock. This is just a nice, good, affordable sports car. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. I got a little bored with the Supra after 2 years, mainly because of the torque converter automatic. So the fact that we got a manual day one is something I'm really interested in having again. And like I said, I missed my 370s. They were fun cars, especially the Nismo, and I love just rolling through the gears. So for me, getting into the new Z now with the stick shift and performance package, that's just going to be a fun car to have. And since I plan on then getting the Nismo, it'll be great to start now with the one available, do all the mods, and really see how far I can take it. What does this car look like when you upgrade the tuning, when you do a full exhaust, upgrade the intakes, better cooling, much better suspension, nicer wheels, things like that. Where can this car go? Can it then outperform a Supra? I don't know. I'm going to find that out. And then, of course, once that's basically all built up and the Nismo is out and ready for sale, I will either part my car out or sell it or do whatever works, and then order the Nismo as soon as possible. And I feel like, to me, the Nismo is going to be the car that I really, really want to keep. This is a car already, I'm going into this knowing I'm not going to just fall in love with this and want to keep it long term. The GTR, I didn't know what going into that car, how I'd feel about it, and I love that car. It is so amazing. I crave driving it. I haven't driven it for 2 weeks because I've been so focused on this, and then I was out of town. So the GTR is a car that really leaves a lasting impression. My red 370Z never did that. It was an awesome sports car, my first car, building credit to work towards, of course, buying the GTR. But then when I got the Nismo, that was a car that left an impression to where I was just so excited about it. And when I bought the Nismo, a lot of people were like, it's only 18 more horsepower, there's no way it's worth 10, 15 grand more. That car was twice the car of the normal Z. I'm not hating on the normal Z, but the Nismo was just so special to me, and it was so awesome. So I think that the new Nismo is going to be where it's at for me personally. But with that said, looking at this normal Z, now that I've had it for a week, it is a fun car. I love the smooth power delivery. I think that's one of my favorite aspects with it. I don't really like cars that have more torque than horsepower. This car has more horsepower than torque, and it makes it to where it's such a smooth power delivery. It keeps accelerating all the way up to red line, and it doesn't just spin the tires down low. That got a little annoying with the Supra. So I really like the smooth power plant on this, and I think with the manual it's just going to be an even better car. I liked what my Nismo Z had to offer, and it was a very smooth power delivery. However, it's not that fast, being just a basic V6. This thing, having the twin turbos now, I think really opens it up to be a powerful car. And with modifications, this is going to be one heck of a toy. So yeah, I am definitely planning to buy one. I think I'm going to go with the blue. I love the blue color. It looks so cool, especially with the very, very bold, solid blue interior. This was a spec I was considering. I was definitely on board with getting this spec, the blue on blue, or the bolder gray with this interior. I don't really want to do the bolder gray idea because that basically is going to match the GTR with gray and a red interior. And now that I've had this for a week, I'm already kind of familiar with it. So when I buy my own car, I want to get something different. That way it feels like something different than this pre-production press car that I've had. So with this Z, when I do compare it, it's a fast car, like seriously. This is a really, really fun car. So yeah, selling the Supra to then buy this, it's not necessarily a downgrade as far as the cars go, basically because of the pricing that I've already talked about. So I think it's going to be a good, fun bang for the buck sports car that kind of lets me take a step back. When I bought the Supra, I always thought it was a little too expensive. Obviously, I was able to sell it for more than I paid because of the crazy car market these days. But that car crashed in value so quickly when I bought it, which I didn't like at all. It was worth like 42 grand 6 months after I bought it, and then everything went crazy and the values went sky high. But that car always seemed like it shouldn't have been almost 60 grand, and I don't know, using that for what I used it for, I really used that car just to rack up miles, to play with, sat outside half of the time that I owned it for, and I always thought it was a little too expensive. This car coming in low 50s is a lot more comfortable for me. Not that I obviously can't afford the other car, it's just I don't value having that much money sitting in a car that isn't like that top tier, the car that I super love. My GTR, I really don't care how much it would have costed me. I loved it, I was gonna buy it. Other cars I have on my list, I don't care how much they cost, I'm just gonna keep working until I can buy one. This is a car that it's priced low enough to where it doesn't have that same stress, I guess, that a little bit higher price point car is going to have. And you know, if I were to get a manual base 3.0 Supra, it'd be about the same as this, but then I'd miss a lot of the features that I want to have. You know, I want to have the heated seats. It gets cold here sometimes. I want to have navigation built into my car. I find a lot of value in that. Half the time you don't get service in the mountains, so having a fixed navigation screen is really important to me. The interior in here, I mean, I love the aspects with the cool materials and everything like that. Parking sensors are great to have, radar cruise control. So all the features that this car gives you, being the performance trim, I really want. So if I were to get a manual base 3.0 Supra, I'm going to be losing out on the luxury features that I want in my cars. And I think I can upgrade this car to then have all the power that the Supra's going to have. So that is kind of my ending thoughts. I have one more video planned where I'm going to be giving this to Mike for the rest of the week. And then that'll be my last drive in this car. But I think the Z is a pretty good platform. At the end of the day, it does feel like it's a cheaper budget version of what the Supra has to offer. The Supra has that BMW refinement, it has that extra power, the extra performance features like the adaptive suspension and steering, the louder exhaust. So the Supra does give you more drama out of the gate, so this is kind of taking a step back from that level of car. But because this is a cheaper car, I think that is justifiable. And I'm a Z fan at heart, and so I'm going to get into the new Z as soon as I can. And I think this is going to be a really good, affordable version compared to the Supra. And then when that Nismo comes out, that thing is going to be perfect in my opinion. I can already just tell, for whatever reason, I know the new Nismo is just going to be where it's at. And I think that is then going to outshine the Supra all day long. So that is it for today's video. Yes, I'm buying the new Z. Cannot wait to get it. Hopefully they come soon. Now I'm hearing things saying it's maybe October, so we don't really know. But at least I've had a really fun week with this car to get my bearings with it, and I'm excited to buy my own. So if you guys enjoyed the video, if you did, give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.